Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar. We are going to be with Jennifer Broome. She's going over where to go in 2025. Jennifer is a seasoned traveler, journalist, and expert in uncovering the hottest destinations and travel trends. Today, she'll guide us through the must-visit spots for the upcoming year, sharing her insights, tips, and everything else to inspire your next adventure. A quick reminder, the session is being recorded and will be available for replay on the Travel Goods Hub and on our YouTube channels. We'll also have a short Q&A at the end, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat or just hold on to them until then. But let's go ahead and dive in and see where 2025 is going to take us. I'm sending it over to you, Jen.
Well, hello, everyone. I have a background in television, so it's going to be less of me and a lot more of video and fun places to go to. So I'm going to start out. First of all, I want to jump right in, share my screen, and get you going on where to go in 2025. So we are going to get right on into it. All right. Let's go. Where are we going to go in 2025? So there are many places all around the world, of course, to venture to. I want to share some ideas that will take you throughout the United States and around the world. For those of you who don't know me, let me give you a little background on me first. I am a travel journalist. I do everything from travel and outdoor segments for the Weather Channel and television stations from Denver to San Antonio to New York. I also write for outlets like AAA National, the Denver Post. Condé Nast Traveler is a brand new one for me as well. I'm a television meteorologist, and I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it since 1994, and I am an adventurer. I have done such things as trek to Everest Base Camp, and just recently completed a trek to Machu Picchu. I'm also a speaker. I speak on everything from national parks to solo travel, traveling within the United States and also internationally. I'm a content creator. And as of this year, I have earned the title of author. I co-authored the third edition of 100 Things to Do in San Antonio Before You Die. That came out on September 1st. A little more background. I've been to all 50 states in the United States. I've been to 58 countries. And I am on a quest to go to all 429 National Park Service sites. I'm currently sitting at 230 of those, including 44 national parks. So looking ahead to 2025, here are some of the travel trends. I kind of think that's a great place to start. First of all, I think we are going to see, especially right after the first of the year, wellness getaways continuing to be huge. That wellness sector of travel is super hot right now. Adventure travel, bucket list trips, those are really back now. I think folks are looking at those opportunities to save their money and then take that one big giant trip. Maybe it's not every year, maybe it's every other year or every couple of years, but I feel like bucket list trips are hot for 2025. National parks and National Park Service sites will continue to be hot places. Island escapes, because the reality is we all need to get away to somewhere tropical, but I'll tell you, some of my island choices aren't necessarily tropical destinations. Urban exploration in US cities. And I'm not talking about like the big cities of, say, New York or San Francisco. I think there's some other cities around the United States that are really coming into their own for very different reasons. Wine escapades. I am a vino lover. So that's always something that I find fun, and some really unique areas to really go experience wine beyond just Napa Valley, which is amazing. And then sustainable travel, that has become a really important over the past couple of years. And I really think it continues to be hot for 2025. So let's get into those wellness getaways. And starting, since I am in Denver, Colorado, I'm going to take you right down West I-70 and go to Glenwood Springs. This is one of my favorite places to go to. In fact, I am going to be going in January. I'm sneaking in some days somehow. I think it's a great time to actually go in January and do the hike up to Hanging Lake. This is a very popular summer hike, but in the winter, you can have it virtually to yourself. You do need to get a permit for that, though. I want to let you know. This is Iron Mountain Hot Springs. Iron Mountain and Glenwood Caverns are national natural landmarks. It is such an amazing place. They have a World Springs, which has 10 different pools there that have minerals replicating famous hot springs around the world. This is Hotel Colorado. In particular, this is the Molly Brown Suite. It is my favorite room to stay in at Hotel Colorado. It's a very historic hotel. Molly Brown, if you don't know who that is, the unsinkable Molly Brown from the Titanic. She was a frequent visitor of Hotel Colorado. So was Theodore Roosevelt. Glenwood Springs, just such a beautiful place. It is one of the premier destinations on the Colorado Historic Hot Springs Loop. That is an 800-mile loop that connects different hot springs across the western two-thirds of the state. So a unique place to go to. And if you like to ski, this is not very far from Aspen Snowmass. It's about a 45-minute drive. There's also Sunlight, a place where you can ski there as well. So you can certainly get that on and then soak in those amazing hot springs. So this is probably going to be a surprise that I say, hey, for a wellness destination, go to Wisconsin. I don't think that Wisconsin hits at the top of the list for a lot of folks for a wellness place. But there is this wonderful area called Wild Rice Retreat. It's about an hour and a half east of Duluth. It is very close to the town of Bayfield, and you can go year round. So Bayfield sits on Lake Superior. Here is one of the accommodations. It kind of just felt like a nest. It was so cool to be in this space that's clean and modern, really kind of helps to reset. They have a high focus on nutrition, getting in that yoga, spending the time outdoors. Definitely something, if you are thinking about it, to really get in the wellness factor, to go to that Wild Rice Retreat. And while you're there, if you're going in the summertime, part of wellness in my world is that you are outdoors and doing adventure. And that includes maybe learning to sail with Superior Charters. I went and did this, and it's a multi-overnight experience. Learned how to sail. I'd never driven a boat before I get out there and learn to sail on Lake Superior. But we went into the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, and a unique way to experience that. You do need to go by boat, and being able to sail around, it kind of gave you that opportunity to experience the lake a different way, and to really enjoy, rejuvenate. And then, after you go and work your hiney off, whether you're learning to sail or becoming a crew member, then you can go get that nice little retreat. So now I'm going to take you down into Central America. And we're going to El Tunco in El Salvador. Years ago, El Salvador was not the safest place on the planet to go to. It has become safer. I did this as a solo trip. I was craving some time to just go and get some yoga, kind of reset at a tropical place. And this is where I went. It's called Balance Yoga and Surf Retreat. So they do specialize in yoga and also surfing. The rooms are beautiful. I mean, this shower was absolutely phenomenal. It is one of the best places in Central America to learn how to surf. So if you're up for that, you can give it a whirl or just enjoy watching people. And I felt incredibly safe walking around this small beach village. That's really what it is. The food's amazing. I did hire guides for a couple of days, went and did a hike to a waterfall, just so much fun, and then went to check out some of the ancient ruins. So again, that is Balance, and it is located in El Tunco, El Salvador, and the sunsets, just spectacular along the Pacific Ocean. So now we'll get into adventure travel. And I kind of call these journeys of exploration and thrills. So first up for that one, Machu Picchu in Peru. But I want to tell you to do it a little bit of a different way. Most people will go and they might just bus in and do a little bit of a hike, or a lot of people do the hike going in on the Inca Trail. With over tourism being an issue on the Inca Trail, and then also some of the things that they're having to do in Machu Picchu, for example, when you get into Machu Picchu, you are told which route you get to go. They really kind of spread out the wealth as far as people, and it makes it feel not overcrowded, and you're still going to have an incredible experience, and you're going to get to see everything you want to see. But it's an effort by doing these different circuits to manage and to protect this sacred place in Peru. So the way that I did it is I take you through and show you just this phenomenal sacred spot in Peru. And I'm going to take you onto the Salcantay Trail. It is longer, it is higher, it is harder than the Inca Trail. It does go up and over 15,000 feet. That happens on the first day of the trek. So, hey, it's all downhill from there. But I really loved this Salcantay Trail because we saw more horses and burros than we did people for 3.5 days. I did it with an organization, a tour operator, Alpaca Expeditions, and I was very proud to be on the first ever all-female trek on the Salcantay Trail. So everyone, our guide, that was Marcella, there's Marlene, she's the chef, our porters, these ladies are absolutely phenomenal. Everyone, the trek participants, all female. And it was just such a unique, special experience. Alpaca Expeditions is Indigenous owned. They're working very hard to change the role of women in Peru. And I think that's very important. They're really doing things to empower women and really to put families first. So what was a little bit different about this trek is that we did do some different experiences. That is Laguna Umantay. Then we went and we got to go and actually pick coffee beans and see the whole process. It is very labor intensive, but just such a unique experience to do that. And with our group, it was a little bit of a unique experience. And I will tell you that coffee's phenomenal there in Peru. But we did a cooking class. It was just so fun to have that time of camaraderie and enjoying it. I want to show you some of the accommodations along the way, because that is something I get asked a lot about. Did you sleep in a tent the whole time? No, we slept in everything from glass cabanas to what I would call, this is like the little Hobbit house. It was just kind of a unique thing to do. It's kind of fun. And then we did the last big trek day. We get to this point where it's kind of a watchtower area. And as you walk through, kind of get the glimpse of the mountains over there. And this was that first view right there of Machu Picchu, the little gray area on the inside, and being there and watching the sun go down and sleeping in a tent, because we did that night. We slept in the tent two nights on this trip. Again, it is a little bit longer than the Inca Trail, but I did try, and you're going to see it right after this. So these ladies are so phenomenal and they are so fast on the trail. I tried twice to keep up with them, and then decided that it was within my better judgment to slow down. But that was part of, I think, the all-female trek too, and then making it there into Machu Picchu and getting into the part where I think if a lot of people probably heard you hike along the railroad tracks. For us, we only hiked along the railroad tracks for the last, maybe 3-4 hours, and then making it to this iconic spot. There's all the team members. There's Machu Picchu, and again, just such a unique, special place. So that's for your adventure travel down in South America. Now I'm taking you to Africa, and we are going to Hwenge National Park. In particular, I'm going to take you by air first. We took the air from Victoria Falls, short little 15-20 minute flight. There's some elephants there. Then we had a little bit of a ride where we saw ostrich. This is Hwenge Bush Camp. It is very different from some of the other camps. With the bush camp experience, you don't have the pool and some of those ultra luxurious things that you might have with some other safaris, but you can see this tent. This is first class glamping, and getting that opportunity for wildlife. I mean, giraffe, elephants. First night there, we had a sundowner with pride of lions, including three. They were about 3-4 months old. The king of the jungle. The food, phenomenal as well. I think that's a big thing with the safari. You eat well because you're very active. The sunrises in the morning and the crew at Hwenge Bush Camp are just absolutely phenomenal. The sunrises As you get that chance to do something a little different at a bush camp, and one of those being in Zimbabwe, getting that opportunity to do a walking safari. And then, a little bit of adrenaline as the elephants get close. That was an aardwolf. You don't typically see those during the day. Those were some of the warthogs, one of my favorite. You can see right here, there is a lion, a lioness. Yeah, that's something, a little unnerving when you're doing a walking safari. But this is Hawenge National Park is one of the best places in the world. If you love elephants, put this on your list. It is definitely a place where the elephant count is higher. And just having that opportunity. I mean, we saw so many babies and the interaction of the babies with their moms. Here they are, three of them coming to check us out. Then we had the opportunity one morning to not only see the pride of lions with those three cubs that were in that range of about 3 to 4 months. But we had the opportunity to see these little guys. They were only a month and a half. They were so cute watching them. And, it's interesting. You might say, oh, you're so close. But our guides, they were phenomenal. Peter and Sean, they kept telling us, well, they look at the safari vehicle as one big thing. That's what the animals see. It's just one giant thing. So as long as you're calm, cool, and collected, staying in the vehicle, following what your guides are doing. Now, this was unnerving to me that we went and did our walking safari, and you can see we're having to scoot. Like we started standing up tall, then we got down to scooting in on our butts because we're trying to get as close as we can to a herd of buffalo. Yeah, I mean, but hearing that thunderous roar when they signaled, okay, something's over there, we're taking off. And this was also another unique experience and getting that interaction. This elephant is very, very close to us. We're kind of like in a rock little bunker, so we are protected. But they just kept coming. I mean, it was hundreds of elephants, and this was. You can see that's not very far. That's how close we were. Again, in a protected area, a little hidden from them. But every now and then, there's a little baby suckling. It was such an amazing sound. Every now and then, one or two would kind of come over and check us out, like that male and female right there, kind of seeing what we're doing and who we are, trying to investigate what's happening. And not only did we see, the elephants, we also got that opportunity to see that was a jackal. There's crocodiles, and then something that I think is so cool to see. It happens to be the hippos. I don't know. I mean, it's just something I'm not used to. There's a baby right there, but getting that really for me that first opportunity to see hippos in the wild and ending with another pride of lions. Just so curious. These were not quite as used to people coming in. So we definitely kept our distance a lot farther from them. And that's just where the experience of the Zimbabwe guides, they are considered some of the best in the world. So again, that was Hawenge National Park there in Zimbabwe. So I mentioned that bucket list trips. You might say, well, those two are bucket list trips. But some of the others, since we were just in Hawenge National Park, one of the places that I think a lot of folks consider to be a bucket list trip happens to be Victoria Falls. It straddles the border of Zimbabwe and Zambia, with the falls technically on the Zambia side and the incredible view from the Zimbabwe side. So I would suggest if you're going to do this, go and do a walking tour first so you can see them, kind of that view as you're walking along and really appreciate the magnitude and the thunderous roar. I did this in October, so that's getting into their summer season. So it is drier. I thought it was really cool to see the whole canyon that they're getting into their dry season. I would definitely do the flight as well. The Zambezi Helicopter Company does a Flight of Angels. And they do a path where everyone in the helicopter gets an amazing view. For a modest but incredibly comfortable accommodations, I would suggest Pioneer Lodge. Go to the distillery, Victoria Falls Distillery. Go and get some incredible jewelry. This is a creative studio. And then for lunch, the Lookout Cafe. It's a lunch with a view. You get that great view of the canyon. Again, keep in mind, this is dry season, so you definitely have the canyon on the drier season, the water a little lower. And then we crossed over into Zambia. I was like, hey, I haven't been to Zambia. I want to check out that country. We went and did a safari in the morning. That was one of the park rangers who allowed us to get close to their 9 rhinos. Yes, they keep track of every single one. They were, exhausted from the night, so we were definitely very safe there, especially with the ranger with us. Another chance to see the hippos in the water, and as you could see, I mean, everything from zebras to baboons to giraffe and elephants. Just a really cool thing. And this is on the Zambia side, and it is a national park, a small national park there. Then we jumped in a boat to go. If you've heard anything about Victoria Falls, and you've probably seen on social media some of the crazy pictures of people leaning over the falls, guess what? I'm now one of them. And it's called Devil's Pool. It is not nearly as scary as you think it is. I have a tremendous fear of heights, and I could do it. You are walked in, everything is monitored. And then this is Elephant Camp. It's about 15-20 minutes from downtown Victoria Falls. It's a safari experience. I mean, the accommodations there are very luxurious. It is top notch. But if you want to combine that trip to see the falls with a safari experience without having to do a whole lot of effort, this is a great way to do it. We went on a sundowner safari, seeing all kinds of different wildlife in the late afternoon, kind of getting into that golden hour and then that view. I mean, that was one of the most epic sundowners. They call them sundowners in Africa instead of happy hours, but it was just such a beautiful experience. Knowing that you were right there in viewing one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Just a phenomenal landscape. And again, that's Elephant Camp, the safari experience, very close to downtown Victoria Falls. So up next, I'm going to take you to Cappadocia, and a lot of folks say Turkey, but they are going back to how it should be pronounced, and that is Turkiye. So we're going to go into the land of the hot air balloons. And that's the reason you go to Cappadocia, which is a region, not a town. You can just see how beautiful it is when the sun's coming up. I, again, mentioned that fear of heights, but I absolutely loved this. I did learn that the bigger the basket, the more time the pilot has, the flight time. So we had, I believe it was like we could have up to 22 or 24 people in the basket. Look how close we are to these people. Like, we were having a conversation with those people on the balcony. This landscape in Cappadocia, it is unbelievable. And getting it with anywhere from 100 to 150 plus balloons up in the air at the same time. And I thought this was one of the coolest things. We landed on a trailer. And then, of course, the champagne toast. I think that's part of any balloon ride. But it really does go beyond just that phenomenal sunrise balloon ride. This is Gorium Open Air Museum. I was there as a journalist with a conference, and we had special permission, so I'm able to show you what these churches look like. These cave churches, what they look like on the inside. They are absolutely stunning. As beautiful as they look in this video, they are even more so in person. And I mean, the frescoes that are painted on these cave walls are just beautiful. This is the fairy cathedrals, and it's because of kind of how those little funky rock shapes are, the formations, a unique thing to do. You can walk around. And I enjoyed really getting to see some of the artisans at work. This is Shez Gallup. He is a ceramics master, and he does it in the traditional way. Yes, he looks like Albert Einstein. But it was so cool. He made for us while we were sitting there, made a teapot, and watching him work, and then walking into his studio that's just filled with so many incredible pieces in a cave, and then watching these ladies. They are weavers at work, and they are the Turkish rugs, the Turkish carpets, the colors, they're just absolutely gorgeous. Not only that, but I love how they roll them out and then they flip them and spin them. And there's one of the guys trying to show me. There's my very weak attempt at trying to do it. And I was all proud, and yeah, he wasn't impressed. But I just want to show you there are some things like that beyond going to just that hot air balloon ride. I also really enjoyed going underground in Cappadocia. This is one of the underground cities, and it's 8 stories. 8 floors underground. We did 2 of them, and then doing some wine tasting. I'm not sure if a lot of folks realize that it is a country that does have wine, and so getting a chance to sample some of that. The most fun ice cream experience I've ever had. Just really enjoyed that. And the landscape itself, it just really, truly is a beautiful, beautiful area. And again, that is Cappadocia. So let's dive into where you should wander in the parks. I do spend a lot of times in the national parks. First up, I'm going to take you to North Dakota. We are going to Theodore Roosevelt National Park. I absolutely love this park because it has so many features like Yellowstone, but it doesn't have the crowds. This is one of the unique things. My cousin and I did a fun hike to the Petrified Forest, and this is what they're known for. They have wild horses. One of the only places in the United States where you can see wild horses, and it was so cool to experience that. Remember, I said there are a lot of things like Yellowstone. Well, here you go. Getting in a bison traffic jam. They are. I saw more bison in Theodore Roosevelt National Park than I have in multiple visits to Yellowstone. Then you see everything from the prairie dogs to the wild turkeys. And again, that really cool landscape. They do have 2 units. There's a south unit and a north unit, and I saw a bison in both of those. I just absolutely love it. You might even say, hey, that kind of looks like the Badlands in South Dakota. Well, these are the North Dakota Badlands. So again, that is Theodore Roosevelt National Park. I did that in September. I think that's a great time to go. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. All right. So I want to take you to Rainbow Bridge National Monument. We're going to go to Lake Powell, and we're not going in the summertime. I think you should do this one. Do it in, say, February was when I did it. And the reason I say that is because you don't have to deal with crowds. Stay at Lake Powell Resort. We're out on the boat. So to get to Rainbow Bridge, it is either a 14 to 16 mile hike in, or you can go do this boat ride, which is 3 hours each way. And then when you get there, it's a mile hike in to check out this natural bridge. It is phenomenal. I mean, just beautiful. And then after that, you can go check out Horseshoe Bend in the Colorado River. This is close to Page. And then while you're in Page, definitely make sure you go and do Antelope Canyon as well. The rock formations in there, the wave patterns, the striations, all of it is absolutely gorgeous. And then just enjoy a sunrise or a sunset there on Lake Powell. And again, I suggest staying at Lake Powell Resort and going here in February or March to beat those summer crowds. All right, so let's head to Florida. I'm giving you kind of some extremes for some picks on national parks and National Park Service sites. This one is Dry Tortugas National Park. To get there, it's 70 miles offshore of Key West. So you got 2 ways. You can go by ferry or do as I did and take the seaplane. It was so much fun to go to Fort Jefferson to see what is the largest masonry structure in the Western Hemisphere. I mean, it's kind of, you think, out in the middle of nowhere, but when it was built, it was a prime location to protect the entrance into the Gulf of Mexico. So you get some time, you fly in, you get some time to explore, walk around. You can walk up top, check out the views. We were looking out, my friend Carol and I were looking out. We saw a shark out there, which is comforting when you go snorkeling right after that. But hey, share the space. And then we took the seaplane back. Again, you can get there by seaplane or ferry, and it is Dry Tortugas National Park. All right, island escape. Since we already kind of went to one island, let's kind of keep going with that theme. And I told you earlier, not everywhere is going to be a tropical paradise, but this one is Amelia Islands, Florida. This is, I think, I just couldn't get over. I was like, wow, this is actually an affordable island. Because sometimes I think, while you might get to an island and everything might be cheap on the island, it's expensive to get there, or there's some significant costs. That's not what I saw here. And I also really enjoyed that people live on this island. So I did a modest accommodation of the residence inn with my friend Adina and I. It was comfortable. We did one of the 2-bedroom suites. And I would get up and check out sunrise. They do allow people to drive on the beach there to watch the sunrise. That's a thing you have to do when you're on Amelia Island. But and then you get that breakfast with a view. But it was so interesting to me to like go into Fort Clinch State Park. I just loved this drive in and getting that opportunity to check out a historic fort, and you not only get to like just see it from the outside, you also get to go in like room after room. All these buildings were open and kind of redone in their period time, and get that feel, and then wander around outdoors, enjoy the downtown area, the really unique architecture that they have, and getting to sample their foods, and they also have this thing called duck pens. I'd never done this before, but it was kind of like, I don't know, like skeet ball and bowling meshed together. And then, of course, sampling amazing Southern food. Oh, those fish tacos were fabulous. All right, so let's go to Northern Ireland. We're going to the Emerald Isle. Most folks tend to go to just the southern part of Ireland. But I would tell you to go ahead and do the Coastal Causeway Drive in Northern Ireland, starting first in a city that really surprised me, and that is Belfast. The Titanic Museum is one of the best museums I've been in the world. Definitely put that on your list there in Belfast. This is Giant's Causeway, a very special place. You can see Dunluce Castle. Again, that opportunity to walk through. And this was like one thing after another as you're on that coastal causeway, going from place to place, and then going to Derry. If you watched the show Dairy Girls, this is the city that they're from, and it is also a very historic city. You may know like U2 song Sunday Bloody Sunday. That was about Derry. There's a lot of history there that, and more modern day history as you go and explore Derry. So really, that coastal causeway of Northern Ireland takes you from Belfast to Derry, and it is such an incredible experience. Give yourself a couple of days for that one. All right, so now let's go to that exotic tropical location. I will honestly tell you, I went to the Philippines in March, and I was wowed. I was like, why have I not gotten here faster? The people in the Philippines are some of the nicest on the planet. This accommodation, this is such a fabulous place there in Palawan, on the island of Palawan. So I did take a quick little flight. It's about an hour and a half, I think, from Manila. But that opportunity to have that overwater, villa there with just incredible views. I mean, I spent a lot of time in that hammock. Then I did do a boat day. My friend Scott and I took off and did this, and we had such a great time going and doing a little bit of snorkeling, but going island hopping. And it was so fun. Like we went to one island and took in the view, got to wander around. You can see it's at low tide at this point. Got some fresh coconut water, and the food, that tropical vibe island food, was really, really phenomenal. Got a little live music while we were there. And then we took off to another island that we just spent a little bit of time, and I really enjoyed. It's called Luli Island, a little private island, little time to hang out, enjoy the view, and then went back. And look, I'm a tuk-tuk fan. If any chance I get, I'm jumping in one. And I think that's so fun. It's just one of the ways that they get around on Palawan. And then the next day we went and did a couple of things. We're going through a mangrove tour, just very peaceful, looking for different things, ranging, from snakes to monkeys. View is great. But then we took off on another little boat to go get in another little boat. That water, a little rougher. You can see we're out there on the open waters, but we were going to the underground river. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it was so cool to go into this kind of cave environment of this underground river, and experiencing that tropical beauty there of Palawan in the Philippines. If Philippines are showing up on your radar at all, bump them up. Get there sooner rather than later. There are so many islands. I left just wanting to go to the next island, wanting to go and experience more. All right, so now we'll go on in and do urban exploration in US cities. I'm going to take you first to one of my favorite cities in the country, and that is, if it decides it wants to go for me, that is San Antonio, Texas. Again, I did just co-authored the third edition of 100 Things to Do in San Antonio Before You Die. But this city, I think it is so vibrant and, just so much fun. Obviously, the Riverwalk and the Alamo, most people kind of know both of those, but the Alamo is actually part of San Antonio Missions National Historical Park. There are 5 different sites to visit. There is $1 million rodeo that happens every February. The food, it is one of 2 cities of gastronomy, UNESCO cities of gastronomy. The Tex-Mex food is fantastic, but there are so many different fusions happening in the food in that city. Part of that's happening right there at the Pearl. It was a brewery. Hotel Emma is now one of the top hotels in the country. Adelante is one of my favorite boutiques there. So that Pearl complex has everything. And then this is the historic Market Square, one of the oldest markets in the country. Some of the different sites like the San Fernando Cathedral, Spanish Governor's Palace, all of that in downtown, easily accessible. And then I think a lot of folks are always surprised at the amount of outdoor fun you can have in San Antonio, ranging from the San Antonio Zoo to all of the public art that is everywhere in the city and the different sides of town. Southtown is very artsy and fun. Multiple world-class museums, including the Whitty. That's the Japanese Tea Garden, which is one of my favorite areas in town. And then that's Camp Hot Wells. It's right next to Hot Wells, the ruins of Hot Wells Resort. And this is Phil Hardberger Park. He was a mayor of San Antonio for a while, and getting an opportunity to walk on that sky bridge and a land bridge. They actually built a land bridge over a very busy road to protect wildlife. So a lot of outdoor adventure. And then they have multiple theme parks if you want to do everything from Fiesta, Texas to SeaWorld, Schlitterbahn, not very far at all. So San Antonio. And honestly, what I'm seeing with US cities, and again, I said this earlier, that I don't think it's the big cities that are going to be those ones that folks are going to. Folks are really searching out cities that are vibrant, that have something unique, that have something different. And the next one definitely does. I'm taking you to Tucson, Arizona. It is the epicenter for astrotourism. If you are into stargazing, you have to go here. There's a couple of reasons why. I remember the meteorologist in me. It's because of the landscape and because of the very dry air. I strongly suggest going to do the Mount Lemmon sky experience. This is Saguaro National Park. They have 2 units. It is an urban national park. This is biosphere. You may remember back in the, I believe it was in the early 90s, that people went in here and stayed in there for a year. There's still a lot of research going on. So it's kind of that feel of like, oh, this is what it feels like to be part of a science project. And then as you get into food. So I said there were 2 UNESCO cities of gastronomy. Tucson was the first one. San Antonio was the second one. So if you love food, both of these places should be high on your list. Hotel Congress is kind of a fun place to go to as well. They have live music downtown. So now let's kind of just parlay right on into our wine escapades. And I'm having a very good time there in the vineyards. And that happens to be San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. If you have not tried Mexican wines, you are missing out. This is such a phenomenal colonial city. Some friends and I spent Labor Day in this beautiful property. It is in a 300-year-old home. You can see that the church is kind of the iconic and the really heart of the city, but the wineries really take you beyond that. So I want to take you and kind of show you, I mean, this is Mexico. This is not normally what I think a lot of folks think of when they think of Mexico. You probably think of beaches and different things, but the wines are great. We had such a wonderful time sipping the different wines. This is Tres Raíces. Just really fun to sample their different wines. And then we went from there to our next place where I fell in love. Oh, I just love it. I mean, it is beautiful. It is an absolutely gorgeous vineyard. We did hire a driver for the day. So I would certainly say whether you're going here or other places, make sure that you do hire a driver so you can enjoy. So after we did our wine tasting, then we had just an incredible lunch, got some time to walk through the vineyards before we headed over to our next winery. And this one was really kind of fun for us because I found I'm a big fan of anything that's bubbly, and getting that chance to kind of get my first introduction to some bubbles down in Mexico. The weather took a little bit of a turn while we were there, but we enjoyed it nonetheless. And then this city, I mean, it is such an incredible colonial city. I like to get up early in the mornings and go for a walk to enjoy the architecture before you can see all of the crowds there kind of gathering around the main garden, the jardín. There's the mariachi bands getting serenaded while we were eating, just a lot. So when you think of Mexico, I hope maybe now you'll think of wine and kind of go beyond just the phenomenal, chips and guacamole, because look, we all like that, right? But this is a foodie destination. Yes, you can go ahead and partake in the margaritas because we did that as well. The shopping is a lot of fun there. In fact, actually, the earrings I have on, I got there in San Miguel de Allende. The art scene is incredible. We kind of stumbled into this in a park, and then when you're worn out, you can head to the Rosewood Hotel, get a massage, and book Luna, their rooftop restaurant, so that you can watch a sunset and enjoy that view. And there's that margarita. I mean, you can't go to Mexico and not have a margarita, right? But that's definitely a margarita with a view. So next up, I'm going to take you to South Africa. And I think when folks think of South African wines for destinations, that they think of Stellenbosch. Well, this is Franschhoek. And a rickety bridge. If you're again a Bubbles fan, we really had a good time here. My friend Lisa was with me on this trip, but I kind of enjoyed that. Not only did we get to do a tasting, we did their wine blending experience. I made a white and she made a red. And it was so much fun to just not only sip and kind of figure out what I was going to put in the wine and how much of each different thing was I going to put into my blend. And I will say, personally, I knocked it out of the park in my what I called Summit Sky blend. But we went from Rickety Bridge, went to experience Mont Rochelle, which happens to be owned by Richard Branson, and an upscale, very fantastic place to go sip the wine. And I am a big fan of, while you're wine tasting, to also have great food. And we certainly had a wonderful lunch there. Went on to another spot to sample wine. And then they have this kind of cool, it's they call it a motor museum, but you can see it's all these cool cars and they run the gamut. I'm not necessarily a huge car person, but this was fun. Learning why race cars and cars are colored different ways, I thought was pretty interesting. It is also a big foodie destination. Just had actually one of the best, two of the best dinners I think I've ever had traveling. That was one of them. And then this one, this is Le Colombe. It is one of the top restaurants in South Africa for good reason. This is the start of it. Every single dish was truly a work of art. It was a 10-course dinner. And when you say over the top, this was way over the top. I mean, look at those. And this was my favorite. Look at that dessert as the can comes off. Just beautiful. And I really enjoyed just wandering through this city. I mean, even the breakfast food, it was pretty. Doing a little bit of shopping. But again, that is Franschhoek. It is in South Africa. So now we'll talk a little bit, kind of our last section on sustainable travel. Going first to the Marshall Islands. I had a very unique experience traveling in, you can see these islands. I went with Sawyer Products on a clean water initiative, providing water for every single place, every village, in a place that is ground zero for climate change. I love that they're doing these outriggers and really customizing it, and they're adding in to try to tap into using solar power and some different things. They're outrigger canoes, very traditional for them, but kind of upgrading them when maybe Mother Nature doesn't cooperate in this just iconic, beautiful destination. You can see they're really getting into the ecotourism, the snorkeling and the diving. It is one of the best places in the world for that. If you don't know a lot about the Marshall Islands, this is an opportunity to go to this very small museum and learn about the beginnings of the islands. Just really, the joy was incredible. We happened to be there during a fish festival, but the Marshall Islands was also the site of some nuclear testing in the 40s and 50s, and seeing how far this country has come. They are truly a nation of survivors. So you do get an experience, and while it is a tropical paradise, to learn the history. And I think that's a big part of travel, is learning history or learning different cultures and learning about places that maybe you read a line or two in a history book, or maybe you know nothing about. But while I say that they are a nation of survivors, they are ground zero for climate change. And projection is that the Marshall Islands will be uninhabitable within 30 to 50 years. Basically, they are sinking into the Pacific Ocean. And where they are, it's about halfway between Hawaii and Guam. They are doing everything they can. They are fighting hard. They are building seawalls. They need people to come in. They need those tourism dollars. I will say, if you're going here, you got to be a little bit more of a rustic kind of traveler. And be a little bit more willing to not necessarily do the 5-star luxury, but if you are a diver or a snorkeler, this is should be high on your list. Another thing I think that you can do for sustainable travel is, instead of the traditional hunting safari or a photo safari, I think really going a step farther and doing a little bit deeper dive into it, and really look at doing what's called a conservation safari. My first introduction to this was a place called Imiri Rhino Conservation. That is Riley Travers. Follow him on Instagram and TikTok. But they are a fourth generation conservation family. They are protecting rhinos. That's my friend Hope. While it's fun to do that sundowner with rhinos, really having the opportunity to do what they have to do on a daily basis. They have 18 rhinos on their property. They are responsible to track them at least twice a day. We were able to get close to this mama and a baby. And again, keep in mind, this is a very controlled environment. That was also well-known conservationist Ivan Carter there with us. That's Riley Travers right there. It's his family. That's the fourth generation. But we, at one point, because Riley saw something that the mom did, she moved a little bit. He, said, "Hey, get under the vehicle." But a beautiful experience to see a mom and a baby rhino there. So if you have a high interest in that, unique way, you can go and stay in their lodge. If you just want to go as a guest, you can go. If you are in Harare, you can go as a day guest and do a game drive there, or you can volunteer. You can go for a week, you can go for several weeks, and really be put to work and help in the volunteer and the conservation efforts to not only protect rhino, they also have amazing elephants. There's an elephant there named Mac. That is just, I can't wait to go back, because, as they say, elephants remember. And I had such a special encounter with Mac that I can't wait to go back to this incredible place. And my other one is on this same trip, I had an opportunity with San Antonio Zoo, in a partnership with Giraffe Conservation Foundation, to not only see giraffe in the wild, and this is a Tasha Heights private reserve, or Tasha Heights Reserve. It's right next to Atasha National Park. But we were going in with the Giraffe Conservation Foundation in an effort to, first of all, track and capture. They were looking in particular for a young male, and to be part of the capture and watch the care that they put into it, the grace that they put into this, and to then go in once the giraffe goes down. There's the wildlife vet, Sarah, who happens to be from Colorado Springs. You can see the team there, and what she's doing is taking blood samples in order to assess any type of disease or anything that could potentially be happening within the giraffe in the area. And this was so cool to do an ear tag, to do a solo ear tag, and then to watch the release and watch this young male then take off and go back into the wild. But if you have interest in a particular animal, I would certainly say get involved with an organization, a foundation, and then look at that opportunity to do a conservation safari and actually go and work and make a difference hands-on of doing something better for for a species out there. And you may have heard fairly recent news that, giraffe now it's kind of like facing a silent extinction. Hopefully not anymore, now that the word is getting out that, their population is suffering. But I do want to talk a little bit about, in kind of closing, last one of a success story. And I'm taking you into Colombia in South America. Caño Cristales is the river of five colors. To get there, you have to go by boat. So, well, first plane to La Macarena, and then you stay on one side. Then you take the boat over to the national park. And if you've seen the movie Encanto, the magic carpet in the river, here it is. It was actually based off of Caño Cristales. It does have colors from June to early November, and the colors range. They'll be from green to pink to red. They really are just gorgeous to see this river. It is the only one like it in the world. But why it's a success story is the Colombian government is really in this particular area fighting deforestation. They are doing lots of replanting there. They are also having to do things like limit the number of people that can go in. And into this national park, only 300 people a day, including tour guides, can go in. You have to be guided in every step of the way, and the guides have to be from La Macarena. So when you get to La Macarena, there's a whole team of people that, you have the boat drivers. So you get in with the boat drivers, they take you. We stayed at a eco lodge that happens to be owned by a National Geographic photographer down in South America. So there's that kind of experience. And then you take the boat over to go to the national park. And when you get there, then you've got the whole team of folks that then take you in, in with your Jeep, and then you've got your guides. It really is a success story that they are doing something. They almost lost it. So they were seeing an area that was should have been protected, and they have really made steps to protect it, and really making some significant ground. So again, there you can see all the travel trends. I hope I've given you at least one or two ideas on that whole list of what you can expect for 2025. And if you have questions, or if you want to follow up or just connect with me, please find me, especially on Instagram and TikTok. I think both of those probably the easiest for you. It's Jennifer Broome Travel. So there you go. That's it. That's all from me. And hey, I got a few minutes for questions. Hit me up if you got a question.
That was awesome, Jen. I have a question.
Sure.
How do you discover these destinations? Like, do you rely on personal experience or recommendations? Like, what is your process when you're like choosing your next place?
Oh gosh. Well, some of them are as simple as, especially with national parks and National Park Service sites, since I am going for all of those, it's like, okay, where haven't I been? And what I'll try to do with those is I cluster. So I'll go like with Tucson. I went to Tucson, and then there's 9 different National Park Service sites within a couple of hours of Tucson. And so I just figured out a really cool road trip to map each one of those and hit each one and spend time. Highly suggest doing it because it is an opportunity to see a lot of that. But when you start looking at like international, I do a lot of research. Obviously, I'm a travel journalist with a focus in sustainable travel and weather and climate change. So I am always looking for different destinations, different places. And for me, it's got to be more than greenwashing. That does still happen. You've got to be really walking the walk. Don't just talk the talk to me, walk the walk. Because if you're asking me to come in, I'm going to research. So some of it's purely a destination will reach out to me. And some of it is, for example, I spent the month of October in Africa, and I didn't have a full plan. I also like traveling that way too. I knew I had planned like Franschhoek and then going to Victoria Falls, but beyond that, I didn't have a whole lot of it planned out. So I really kind of started doing a deep dive and ended up in Lesotho, ended up in Mozambique, some very different places. And hey, I'm like everybody else, I might see something on social media. I might go in and see a spot in social media, but then I'm also going to look around the region because I am very conscientious about over tourism and unfortunately, that is kind of the downfall of so many beautiful places around the world getting so much fame on different social media channels. So when you're looking at a space where you might see somebody post about a spot, do what I do and look in the region as well, because chances are you can find something where you can go take your turn in that spot quickly and then go spend the rest of your time where there's less crowds, less people, but you still get the essence of the region and still get the experience.
I love that. Jim just said, thanks, Jennifer. I made it to Amelia Island and Ireland and Northern Ireland this year as well. That's awesome to see.
Awesome. I love that.
Okay, so I also have a question about your video content because obviously that was stunning. I feel like I just took a trip around the world, so that was great. Um, as a creator, what's your creative process like for planning or filming in a new destination? How do you balance that between
Okay.
the actual experience and like getting all that content?
Yeah. Okay. Well, understand that I come from a broadcast background. And I used to think everything has to be perfect, but thank you, social media, for showing me that it does not. And so I am okay if the video is not absolutely perfect 24/7. A lot of folks are surprised that even for when I do segments on like the Weather Channel or, for the TV stations here in Denver or San Antonio or wherever, a lot of the video I actually shoot off of my phone. I do have a shoot system, and with the priority going to shooting this way, props in hand. So shooting, first for that broadcast quality, because if I need to, I can always cut that down. If you shoot this way, and every once in a while, I do have to use a video that I shoot this way, but it does get distorted when you have to shift it to the horizontal. So I will prefer to shoot horizontal first. Sometimes I'm running multiple cameras. It's not out of the question for me to be, actually holding this way and holding a GoPro or something else this way to get the shots at the same time. So I'll usually always default to video first and then my pictures next. And I do shoot pictures both the ways as well. I mean, I shoot horizontal, then I'll flip it and I will take it to the 9:16 to get the social video, social pictures. So there is a little bit of a learned strategy there. I am trying very hard to make sure that while it is important for me for multifaceted aspects of this crazy freelance career that I have that takes me from broadcast to print to digital, but also taking moments to put my phone down and trying to be a little bit more present and relish in that experience. And just even if you're shooting and you are focused on the content creator side of it, after you've shot, take a moment, soak it in. You only live once. I mean, look, life's way too short. And while it is fun to share everything, you also need to experience it, breathe it in, take a breath, enjoy that. I'm such a proponent of enjoying sunrises and sunsets because they are reset times. And they are moments where you really will put that phone away and soak it in for a moment.
Jen, I have a question for you. So first, thanks so much. This has been great. I've really enjoyed everything that you've shared with us. I was just curious, are there any other underrated destinations that didn't make the top of your list but would still be worth considering for 2025?
Oh, you want more? I had a really hard time because, when you start like really trying to break it down, oh gosh. Yes, there's so many places to go. Ecuador, take you into South America. I think Ecuador, and I'm going to say go beyond. I haven't done the Galapagos. They are still on my list, but there is an issue with over tourism there. So there is that. But in particular in Ecuador, there is a place called Cuenca that is, and it's Quenca. Really, really cool. Felt super safe there. I walked around at dusk, no problems at all. So that is one area that I would definitely say put there. Mozambique, there's a place called Anvil Bay Resort. You do a game drive through Maputo National Park to get to this place. I walked 5 miles on the beach there and only saw one fisherman. That's kind of my new fave. That is a place I can't wait to go back to. Istanbul. It is a city that straddles two continents, so you can take a ferry ride, which I did multiple times in an afternoon. I think that's, if you're looking for an urban experience, would definitely say there. For somebody that might be looking for a wine experience and you're going to Tuscany, as amazing as a city like Florence is, Cortona would be one that I would say put high on your list. If you have seen the movie Under the Tuscan Sun, the villa that she goes and repairs throughout the movie, you can stay there. It's called Villa Laura. You can actually book it and take a group and stay there. But the city of Cortona is a phenomenal place as well. Oh gosh, there's just so many. I mean, even like national parks. I am a proponent of going to national parks outside of the prime time. With the most popular months being July and August, that's when your most popular national parks are busiest. I would say if you're doing Utah, don't skip Capitol Reef National Park. It is the best of Moab blending with the best of Bryce. It is incredible. And while you're there, make sure to go get a pie. You can ask any ranger, ask anyone in Toria. I can see some head shaking like, yes, yes. It's like you say, go to a national park, you go for the pie. Because once you go once and you have it, you're going back again to have it. But those are just a few places. West Texas is also a big spot for me. Terlingua, Big Bend, just kind of thinking of some of the places that are spots where I tend to find myself gravitating back to that do fall under some special places. But I think one of the biggest things is traveling is to go outside of the popular time. Do the off season, the shoulder season type of travel is something that I love to do, because then you get much more of the solitude experience and not having to fight the crowds.
That's great. Thank you so much.
I just want to echo what Judy said too. Your videos and explanations were awesome. And I just want to visit all the places now. I do have a question. Oh yeah.
Okay. I was just gonna say I've been traveling around the world for the past couple of days getting all those videos done. And the video I shot, so you're looking at my stuff.
I love that. That was awesome. I'm curious how these 2025 hotspots compare to previous years. Like, are there regions and countries emerging for this year, or like this typically, or like how does that, what would you say?
I would honestly say that I feel like people are kind of starting to discover beyond. I think with the state of what's happening in the world these days, people are realizing how precious, beautiful, and historic places are, and starting to, while cities like London and Paris and Rome, all of those are absolutely amazing places. And if you haven't been, go. And I love to use the phrase, take your turn and then explore the region. So I feel like people are kind of starting to step out a little bit. Say if you go to London, then you're going to add in, I know I did on a trip to go and see Stonehenge, and then go up to Bath, and then go take a drive over to Oxford and go see Blenheim Palace, and things like that. So, or even, for example, Ireland. I honestly feel like that Northern Ireland is starting to come into a moment that people are starting to realize, oh, you've gone and you've done Ireland, and it is such a phenomenal area to go to. But then crossing that line and going into Northern Ireland, it's an entirely different experience, just equally as wonderful. A lot of folks enjoy Iceland, which it is incredible. I've only been in the winter. I've been in March, and went in particular to see the Northern Lights. And because of weather at that time, we only got to see them from the plane. There's a lot of talk right now about Greenland coming in and being a hot spot for 2025. So it's kind of some of these destinations where people think, oh, at one point in time, oh, that's not approachable. That's so remote. Those remote places are not so remote anymore. But I would strongly say, even into a country like Canada, dive deeper. Go and do some type of indigenous travel there. Go with the indigenous owned tour operator. Go to some of the more remote. I'm actually looking at a place at the Yukon, possibly to go in late February. Go and try to find some of those spots that don't be afraid to spend a little bit extra effort to maybe take one more short flight to get to somewhere that is a little bit more remote, because I will tell you that effort is always, always going to be worth it.
Thank you. Yeah, very good points. I would love to go to Iceland and explore all the places that maybe aren't so popular as well.
Well, if you're going to go to Iceland, you make sure you go with my buddy Bessie. He owns Moonwalkers. This was like, oh gosh, this was 2017. And I will tell you, every time the volcanoes erupt over there, I'm like, I send him a message, Bessie, can you see it? Because he lives in Reykjavik. And strongly, yeah, hit me up if you need a guide anywhere that I've been. I tend to keep up with my guides. They truly do make the difference. That's something else that I do. A lot of folks are like, how do you find some of these unique spots that you guys asked me earlier? Sometimes it's as simple as hiring a local guide. I prefer to stay in smaller boutique, more independently owned while I'm traveling, independently owned hotels, especially while I solo travel around the world or just traveling with a cousin or a friend or whatever. Because they have the connection to the best guides. And spending that day on a private guide is truly, it's money well spent, because the experience that you get and how you can change things on the fly if you need to. You get in depth and get to see a lot. And by doing a private guide, you also get a more intimate experience, and sometimes get to go to some places that group travel can't necessarily get to.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. That was amazing. I can't wait to watch that back. Like, as crazy as that sounds, we just watched it for an hour and I'm like, I can't wait to go through that again. So
Oh,
thank you
awesome.
so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to share all those amazing places with us. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording and end the webinar for today. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Bye, guys.